everyone. This is Professor Todd Floppy. Tonight we have a very special segment of The Tonight Show with Ariana Statuda. Actually, Ariana is one of my students in my classes, and she decided to pay me a visit in my classroom this evening. So here we are. So right now I was just going over with my class on a little bit about the immune system, mainly the third line of defense when dealing with a virus. You know, there's a first line of defense, a second line of defense, and this is the third line of defense. And I thought I'd just share a little bit about what I'm teaching my class with you guys on the show this evening. So, there's two types of the third line of defense, and that is because a virus can enter your body and be in two places. It can either be inside of your cell or it can be outside of your cell. If the virus is inside of your cell, we have cell-mediated immunity, and if it's outside of your cell, we have humoral immunity. So we're going to first start with cell-mediated immunity. So there's a virus, a pathogen, and it is introduced inside of your cell. This means basically that this cell is going to die because the virus is going to take over. But before it dies, we have an MHC1 protein that will attack it, and that'll form an epitope. And an epitope will be presented right outside of the cell, and it's like a little fragment of the pathogen on top of the MHC1 protein. And a helper T cell will come and it'll interact with the epitope, and that'll secrete perforin. And the perforin will degrade the cell, and in degrading the cell, it will also send out signals to surrounding cells that'll tell it to produce antibodies to help in protection of the body from the pathogen. So once the cell degrades and you have the helper T cell come and secrete perforin, it'll go and it'll activate a cytotoxic T cell, and the interaction between those two will secrete interleukin, and the interleukin secretion then that'll signal clonal selection of the cytotoxic T cells, and so most of them will become cytotoxic T cells, and you have a few that become memory cells. And the memory cells is for future recognition of this specific antigen in the body. And the cytotoxic T cells is what will help fight off the antigen in the body. And then after that, you will have immune clearance, and hopefully the virus will be gone. If the pathogen is in the extracellular fluid, it's humoral immunity. So you have your pathogen introduced right here. And the cell will have to engulf the pathogen, so it'll do a thing called phagocytosis. And once the cells phagocytosize the pathogen, it'll interact with the lysosome, and it'll create a little phagolysosome. And this phagolysosome will turn into a antigen-presenting cell, and it'll be displayed on the surface with an MHC2 protein and a little fragment of the antigen. And another helper T cell will come in and it'll interact with the MHC2 protein, and this will stimulate B cell activation. So the helper T cell will go and interact with the B cell, and this will secrete interleukin. And once this happens, you want clonal selection of your B cells, and your B cells will do clonal selection, and they will turn into mostly plasma cells and some memory cells. Memory cells, again, are important for future recognition of the antigen. And the plasma cells will turn into different kinds of antibodies, and these antibodies there are four ways that they can get the pathogen out of your system. The first one is agglutination, and you have neutralization, and those are the two biggest ones that we will need to know for this. And then after that, you will have immune clearance, and then hopefully your body will go back to normal. So that is my little bit on the immune system, the third line of defense. Remember again, the first line of defense is your basic skin barriers. Your second line of defense is your fever and coughing and stuff. And this is once the pathogen is around your cells or inside your cells. So thank you very much for tuning in on this special segment, and I will see you next time.